So biggest reason then why people lose their focus is because of stress. Living in stress is living in survival. And stress is when your brain and body are knocked out of homeostasis. The stress response is what the body innately does to return itself back to normal. Now, all organisms in nature can tolerate short-term stress. The deer is being chased by a pack of coyotes. The moment the deer sees the threat or the danger in her outer environment, she switches on a nervous system called the sympathetic nervous system. And the sympathetic nervous system is going to mobilize 100% of the body's resources and vital energy to survive in that environment. It's not going to go 50%, it's not going to go 30%, it's going to go 100%. So then when you begin to turn on that stress reaction, the body and the brain get an arousal of energy, a rush of adrenaline, and the rush of adrenaline wakes the brain and body up. And people become addicted to this rush of adrenaline, and now they need the people and the problems in their lives to reaffirm their addiction to this emotion. They need the bad job. They need the bad relationship. They need the difficult situation in their life because it makes them feel something. That means then they become addicted to the life they don't even like. So check it out. The moment you perceive a threat in your outer environment, you turn on that nervous system called the fight or flight nervous system. There's a pattern recognition in your thinking brain, that yellow part of the brain, that signals another part of the brain, that's where the sympathetic nervous system is, to begin to change your internal environment. The signal goes all the way down to the witless adrenal glands, and all of a sudden there's a release of adrenaline. And the release of adrenaline now causes very strong physiological changes in the brain and body. Pupils dilate, you gotta see better. Salivary juices shut off, not a time to eat lunch. Heart rate increases, respiratory rate increases, and blood is sent to the extremities, and now the body is prepared to do battle, to run, to fight, or to hide. How many people understand? You felt this, yes? And in that state, you're in survival. But what if it isn't a lion? What if it's your mother-in-law? And now you're reacting to the same conditions in your environment because you've had some past experiences with your mother-in-law. What was once highly adaptive becomes very maladaptive. Because when you turn on the stress response and you can't turn it off, now you're headed for disease. Because no organism in nature can live in emergency mode for an extended period of time. How many people are with me? Does that make sense? And people spend 70% of their time then reacting to something in their life just to reaffirm those emotions. Well, check it out. Because of the size of the human neocortex, we can think about our problems, and we can turn on the stress response just by thought alone. You know what that means? If those hormones of stress are addictive, and you can turn on the stress response just by thought alone, people become addicted to their own thoughts. And if it's a scientific fact that the long-term effects of the hormones of stress push the genetic buttons and create disease, and you can turn on that stress response just by thought alone, that means that your thoughts can literally make you sick. Begs the question then, if your thoughts could make you sick, is it possible then that your thoughts can make you well? So we took a group of people, 120 people, just like you, and we had them trade emotions like anger, fear, hostility, aggression, competition, jealousy, envy, all those survival emotions, depression, hopelessness, powerlessness, just for an elevated emotion like gratitude, a heart-centered emotion. And we had heart rate monitors on them to make sure that they were feeling those emotions. We measured their cortisol levels at the beginning of 4 days. We measured another chemical called IgA, immunoglobulin A, your body's primary defense against bacteria and virus. It's better than any flu shot. It is your body's natural flu shot, and it works better than a flu shot. As stress hormones go up, guess what happens to IgA? Goes down. If you're mobilizing all this energy for some threat in your outer environment, there's no energy in your inner environment for growth and repair, for long-term building projects, and the immune system is compromised. So we said, let's trade those emotions for an elevated emotion. We'll have you do this just 10 minutes a day. 3 times a day for 3 days. And then we're going to measure your IgA levels and your cortisol levels. People's cortisol levels went down about 17%. That's pretty good. But their IgA levels went up 50%. Now, if a pharmaceutical company found the drug that was strengthening your immune system by 50%, it would be on every television commercial. And yet, your nervous system is the greatest pharmacist there is. So teaching people how to do that begins to make dramatic changes in their body and in their health. So if your thoughts can make you sick, then it makes sense that your thoughts can make you well. If you combine a clear intention with an elevated emotion, and a leader does this very well, because when a person comes out of the resting state and they can begin to emotionally connect with the leader's future, they will no longer be looking at their future through the lens of the past. They will see a new possibility. And when you combine that clear intention with an elevated emotion, the thought and the feeling creates a new state of being. And a new state of being is a new personality. And teaching people how to sustain that state for an extended period of time, all of a sudden you start experiencing what we call flow, or magic, or the universe working with us, or opportunities begin to all of a sudden start to appear before us.